The space station floated quietly above the blue and white planet of Terralis. It was a hub for travelers, merchants, explorers, and diplomats from many human colonies. Ships from dozens of worlds docked here every day. But today, the station seemed unusually quiet in the central courtyard. People moved about, but their eyes kept drifting toward the docking bay. Something strange had arrived. Captain Elias Reed leaned against the railing of the observation deck, sipping his warm cup of synthesized coffee. He was a tall man, with broad shoulders and a calm presence. People trusted him, not because he was powerful, but because he listened. Elias had lived alone for many years, traveling across stars and helping in small conflicts. His heart, however, carried a quiet emptiness. That emptiness ended today, or so it would seem. The airlock doors hissed open and a small group of figures stepped into the station. Humans moved aside, murmuring nervously. Elias's eyes were immediately drawn to them. The tallest figure walked with grace but a strange fragility. Her skin was pale, almost shimmering under the station lights, and her eyes glowed softly with a color Elias had never seen. Around her, 3 small children clung to her robes, their heads tilted curiously at the new world around them. The woman approached slowly, her gaze fixed on Elias. Somehow, she had found him without asking. Her voice was soft, almost musical, yet carried the weight of deep sorrow. "Human," she said. "I am Saralia. I have no home, no family, no place for my children. Please, adopt them, please. End my loneliness." Elias blinked. His coffee cup shook in his hand. He wanted to speak, but the words caught in his throat. The emotion in her voice was raw, heart-wrenching. He glanced down at the children. They were unlike any humans he had seen. Their hair shimmered with a faint silver glow, their eyes a deep violet. Yet, despite their alien appearance, there was innocence there, and an unmistakable need for care. Why me?" Elias finally asked, his voice rough. Saralia's eyes glistened. "I have searched for one who can feel, one who can understand, one who can care. My children are alone. I am alone, and I cannot survive." Her voice broke slightly. "You are kind, human. I know it." Elias felt a weight settle on his shoulders. He was just a man, a human. But the sorrow in her voice struck something deep inside him. He wanted to say, yes, but he also knew this was not a simple request. Where are you from?" he asked carefully. Saralia's gaze fell to the floor. "My world was destroyed. The stars took it from us, my family and my husband, and all gone. Only these children remain, and I cannot protect them alone." She lifted her head, her eyes meeting his. "You can protect them. You must. They will be safe with you. Please." Elias swallowed hard. He could feel the children's eyes on him. They didn't speak, but somehow their emotions reached him, as if their tiny hearts were speaking directly to his own. One little boy stepped forward. His small hand reached for Elias. There was a hesitation, a fragile hope. Elias knelt slowly and took the child's hand. "Hello," he said softly. I'm Elias. What's your name?" The boy's lips moved. "Lyrian," he whispered. "And you?" Elias asked the 2 girls. "Velia," said the older girl, her voice firm but soft. "Anara," said the youngest, barely audible. Elias looked up at Saralia. The decision weighed heavily on him. Adopting human children was already a serious responsibility. Adopting alien children from a species he barely understood could bring political complications, dangers, even hostility from others. But he could not ignore the pleading in her eyes nor the fragile trust the children offered. He straightened, his jaw firm. I will help you," he said. Saralia's eyes shone with relief. A soft smile spread across her face, and for a moment she looked almost human. Less alien, more like the mother any child could recognize. She bowed slightly. "Thank you, human," You have saved my heart. Elias nodded. We'll need to start with some paperwork, and I need to know more about your children. Are there any special needs I should know? Saralia paused, her face growing serious again. They are different. Their minds are connected to emotions. They feel more deeply than humans. They can sense danger, joy, sadness. Sometimes thoughts, but only fragments. You must be patient with them. They will need care, love, and understanding. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. This was no ordinary adoption, and yet, he could not turn away. The station administrators were watching closely. Rumors had already spread of the mysterious alien widow and her unusual children. Elias expected objections, questions, warnings, but he stood tall and spoke clearly. These children are under my care, he said. I take full responsibility. Murmur ran through the crowd. Some humans looked skeptical. Others seemed inspired by his courage. The administrators nodded, though reluctantly. The legal process would be slow, but Elias knew he had made the right choice. Later, in a small quarters Elias had arranged for the family, he watched the children explore cautiously. Lyrian picked up a small toy robot and examined it with fascination. Velya moved to a hollow table and traced her fingers over its glowing surface. Anara clung to her mother, peeking at Elias with wide, curious eyes. Saralia sat quietly, watching them, her hands clasped together. She did not speak. She did not need to. Her expression said everything. Gratitude, relief, fear, and love all mingled together. Elias walked over and knelt to their level. You're safe here, he said softly. We'll learn from each other. I promise. Lyrian smiled faintly and nodded. Velya gave a small approving glance. Anara hid behind her mother but peeked out, and Elias could see the trust forming in her wide violet eyes. For the first time in many years, Elias felt a warmth he had almost forgotten. His life of traveling alone, of doing what was right but never feeling truly connected. It felt like it might be changing. That night, as the station hummed quietly around them, Elias sat in the small living area. The children were asleep in their new beds, exhausted from the long journey and the overwhelming sights of the station. Saralia stayed awake, watching over them. She finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you, Elias. You are more than a human to us. You are hope. Elias looked at her, unsure what to say. Hope was not something he had considered for himself. But hearing her words, feeling the presence of these innocent children, he realized that perhaps hope was exactly what he had needed. Outside, the stars shimmered. Unknown dangers waited beyond the station, remnants of the chaos that had destroyed Saralia's homeworld. But for now, inside this small room, there was peace. And for the first time in years, Elias did not feel alone. He stayed awake long after the children and their mother had fallen asleep, thinking about the journey ahead. It would not be easy. Humans and aliens did not always understand each other. The children were unique, their abilities unknown, and dangers might come seeking them. But Elias had made a promise, and he knew deep in his heart that a promise made from compassion was stronger than any fear. Tomorrow he would begin the process of learning their world, their needs, and their hearts. Tomorrow they would start a new life together. And in the quiet hum of the station, for the first time in a long time, a human and 3 alien children and their mother felt something precious. Belonging. The next morning, the space station buzzed with life. Traders, travelers, and officials moved in every direction. But in one quiet corner, Captain Elias Reed was already busy. He had promised Saralia to protect her children, and promises were not taken lightly. The first task was understanding them. Elias sat in the small living quarters with the children around him. Lyrian, curious and cautious, hovered near the table. Velya stood with her arms folded, observing everything. Anara clung to her mother, peeking occasionally at Elias. Let's start slowly, Elias said, his voice gentle. I want to know you, to understand you. Can you tell me something you like? Lyrian's eyes brightened. I like stars, he said simply. They shine even when we are alone. Elias smiled. Yes, they do. Sometimes they remind us there is hope, even in dark times. Velia spoke next, her voice clear. I like learning new things. Machines, lights, colors, and stories. Elias nodded. Then we will read stories together. I can teach you about human worlds, and you can teach me about yours. Anara was shy. She barely spoke, but she smiled faintly and held out a small, glowing stone she had hidden in her hand. Elias took it gently. This is beautiful, thank you. Seralia watched silently, her eyes full of both relief and worry. They are unusual, she said softly. Their minds, they feel deeply. They notice things humans might not. Elias nodded. I can see that, and I will be careful. I promise to help them feel safe. Their first lessons began simply. Elias taught them how to eat human food, how to operate basic station devices, and how to communicate clearly with other humans. The children absorbed everything quickly, surprising him. Their intelligence was remarkable, but more striking was their empathy. Lyrian reached out to calm another child crying in the next room. Velia offered her toy to a lonely child in the corridor. Anara's gentle presence seemed to comfort everyone around her. Elias realized that caring for them would not just be about teaching, they were teaching him as well. The morning passed quietly, but soon, the peace of the station was disturbed. A message arrived on Elias's communicator, marked urgent and high security. He opened it with a frown. Captain Reed, the voice of the station chief said, we have received warnings about the alien children you have taken into your care. Their species is rare and unpredictable. The council is concerned for the safety of the station and for the humans involved. Please explain your actions. Elias's jaw tightened. He had expected this. Protecting Seralia's children was already a difficult decision, and now the authorities were questioning him. I understand, he said calmly. But I take full responsibility. They are under my protection, and I will ensure the safety of everyone here. They are children. They need care and guidance, nothing else. There was silence on the other side. Finally, the chief spoke. Very well, Captain. But be aware. Any incident, and the responsibility will fall on you. Elias turned off the communicator, his mind racing. Protecting them would not be simple, but he felt a strange certainty. He had made the right choice. Later, he walked through the corridors with the children. They explored cautiously, their small hands occasionally brushing his sleeve. Other humans stared, whispering in curiosity and fear. Elias ignored them. He wanted the children to feel normal, not like outsiders under a microscope. Do you see that? Lyrian asked, pointing to a large display of distant star systems. Yes, Elias replied. Those are the stars you like. Hundreds of worlds, each with stories of their own. Velia stepped closer. I want to visit them someday, learn everything. Elias smiled. And we will. Slowly. Step by step. But trust was not only about learning and exploration. That afternoon, an incident tested it. The children were playing, near the small gravity garden, a place where plants floated in carefully controlled zero-G. Anara drifted too close to the edge, almost slipping into the maintenance shaft. Elias reacted instantly. He grabbed her small hand and pulled her back. The other children gasped. Anara clung to him, her eyes wide with fear. It's okay, Elias said softly. You are safe now. I won't let anything happen to you. Seralia arrived, her expression a mixture of fear and relief. She knelt beside her children. They trust you, Elias, but you must show them, always, that they are safe. No one must hurt them. Elias nodded solemnly. I will. I promise. The event left an impression on the children. Lyrian looked at Elias with a new sense of respect. Velia nodded silently, and Anara hugged him tightly. For the first time, Elias realized that trust could grow quickly when care was genuine and consistent. As evening fell, Elias prepared a small meal for them. The children were curious about every dish, the smell, the taste, the colors. Elias laughed as Lyrian carefully touched a bright fruit, then took a small bite, nodding in approval. "This is good," Lyrian said, eyes shining. "Better than anything I tasted before." Velia tried a colorful vegetable, her expression serious. "It is different, but I like it." Anara hesitated, then finally tasted a piece. She smiled, a small sound that warmed Elias's heart. Seralia watched from across the table, her hands folded in her lap. "They are learning quickly, Meow, but you must remember, Elias, there is more to them than what you see. They feel deeply. Danger, sadness, fear. They sense everything around them." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I will keep them safe. No one will harm them while I am here." That night, Elias could not sleep. He walked to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Seralia's words echoed in his mind. These children were extraordinary, fragile, and powerful in ways he did not yet understand. Protecting them would require courage, patience, and wisdom. But as he looked at the stars, he felt something he had not felt in years: hope. For the first time, he imagined a future where he was not alone, where life had meaning beyond duty and travel. The children were teaching him more than he could teach them. They were showing him that even in the cold emptiness of space, connection was possible. The next morning, training began in earnest. Elias wanted them to understand human culture, technology, and safety, but he also allowed them to teach him about their world. Seralia had shared fragments of their planet's history, stories of kindness, family, and courage. The children repeated these stories, their small voices carrying wisdom beyond their years. In one exercise, Elias brought a small robotic drone and demonstrated its functions. The children observed carefully. Lyrian's hands moved quickly, adjusting, controls with precision. Velia asked questions, eager to understand every detail. Anara watched silently, her large eyes following every motion. By the end of the session, the drone hovered steadily, responding to their combined guidance. Elias watched in awe. Their abilities were remarkable, not just intelligence, but coordination, empathy, and understanding. He realized that these children were extraordinary in every way, yet as Elias felt pride and hope, a small shadow lingered in his mind. Seralia's warning was clear: danger could return at any moment. And with their abilities, these children might attract attention from forces beyond his understanding. Still, he refused to let fear dictate his actions. He had made a choice. He would protect them. He would nurture them. He would become the family they needed. That evening, as they gathered around a small glowing fireplace, Anara leaned against Elias. Velia rested her head on a cushion, and Lyrian held his small hand in Elias's. Seralia watched silently, a soft smile on her lips. "You are teaching them trust," she said quietly, "and in return they are teaching you what it means to care." Elias felt a warmth spread through his chest. She was right. For the first time in years, he felt truly connected, not just to these children, but to life itself. Outside, the stars shimmered, endless and silent. But inside this small corner of the station, there was laughter, learning, and love. The bond of trust had begun, and with it, a new chapter in Elias's life and the lives of these extraordinary children. And so, under the quiet hum of the space station, a human and 3 alien children began their journey together, facing the unknown with courage, heart, and hope. The space station's hum was constant, a quiet reminder of life in the void. Captain Elias Reed had grown accustomed to its rhythm, and so had the children. Lyrian, Velia, and Anara had begun to explore more freely, guided by Elias's careful watch. Saralia often stayed nearby, quietly observing, her eyes filled with both pride and worry. But peace in the station is never permanent. It began with the first warning. A distant blip on the station's sensors caught Elias's attention during his morning rounds. Small at first, almost insignificant. But as he focused, the blip grew, resolved into a fleet of unfamiliar ships approaching the station. They were not human. Their design was sleek, predatory, and unlike any friendly or trade ships Elias had seen. He called the station command immediately. "This is Captain Elias Reed. We have incoming unidentified ships. Advise all personnel to readiness." "Level 2. The voice on the other end was tense. "Captain, do you have identification?" "Negative. But they're approaching fast. We must prepare for defense." Elias's heart tightened as he glanced toward the children. They were in the communal area, laughing and playing, unaware of the threat approaching their temporary home. He walked over to Saralia. "They're here," he said quietly. "Ships. Coming toward the station." Her face paled. She knelt to Lyrian. "Listen to me carefully," she said. "You must stay close to Elias. Do not panic. They are from the forces that destroyed our world. They want the children. But they will not take you if you trust in him." Elias looked at her, alarm rising. "You mean they're after your children?" She nodded. "Yes. Their abilities make them important. Knowledge, power, something they desire. We cannot hide forever, but we can prepare." Elias clenched his fists. Protecting them was no longer a choice. It was a necessity. "Then we will defend them," he said firmly. The station went into alert. Human defense crews scrambled, shields activated, and security protocols engaged. The children, unaware of the danger, continued their play, but Elias stayed close, keeping a watchful eye. Velia noticed his tension. "Captain, what's happening?" she asked. Elias crouched to her level. "Some ships are approaching. They are not friendly, but we will keep you safe. You must stay close to me and follow instructions." The children nodded. They trusted him completely now. Lyrian's hand found Elias's. Anara clung to her mother, and Velia's gaze never left his face. The first contact came with a sudden jolt. The station's shields flared as a small fleet of enemy ships formed a blockade. Holographic projections lit the control room, showing the alien vessels circling, scanning, and probing defenses. Elias quickly coordinated with station command. "All human security teams, prepare for engagement. Civilian areas must remain safe. The children, stay in the safe quarters, no exceptions." Saralia turned to Elias, her voice low. "I trust you, but remember their connection. The children can sense danger. It may frighten them. You must be calm, Elias. Calm and strong." He nodded. "I will be." The children felt it anyway. Even in their protected quarters, they trembled. Lyrian's small hand gripped Elias's tightly. I feel them," he whispered. "They are coming," Velia added. "I can feel something bad." Elias bent down. "I know. But we are together. Nothing will hurt you while I am here." The battle began quietly at first. Defensive turrets opened fire on approaching ships, and warning sirens echoed through the station. Elias coordinated with human pilots, guiding them to intercept and repel the invaders. But the enemy was smart. They did not attack directly. They were testing, probing for weaknesses, looking for a way to isolate the children. Saralia watched from the shadows, fear in her eyes. "They are patient," she murmured. "They will not stop until they find the children." Elias did not respond, his focus entirely on the station's defenses. But he could not ignore the children's fear. He called them to his side and spoke calmly, keeping his voice steady. "You are safe," he said. "No matter what comes, we face it together. Trust in me as you have. That trust is stronger than fear." Lyrian nodded, his small frame trembling. Velia took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Anara held tightly to Saralia, her eyes wide and uncertain. Hours passed in tense vigilance. The enemy ships lingered, circling the station but not attacking directly. Elias realized they were waiting, studying patterns, analyzing reactions. He had to act, or they would continue to probe endlessly, waiting for a mistake. He made a bold decision. "I need to take the children somewhere safe," he said to Saralia, "a place they cannot be found." She hesitated. "There is one, an uncharted sector. It is isolated. Few ships ever pass there." "Then that's where we go," Elias said firmly. He gathered the children, keeping their hands in his, and led them to his personal ship docked nearby. The children sensed the urgency and obeyed without question. Lyrian's small body shivered, but Elias's steady presence reassured him. Velya's eyes were focused, determined. Anara clung to her mother, quiet but alert. As they launched, the enemy ships noticed immediately, following them into the corridor. Elias piloted skillfully, weaving through asteroid belts and debris fields. His years of experience and instinct allowed him to stay one step ahead. Yet the children's connection to danger made it clear. They could feel the threat even when hidden. "We are almost safe," Elias said, keeping his voice calm. "Just a little farther." Finally, they entered the isolated sector. Stars stretched endlessly around them. Few signs of life, no stations, no ships. Elias set the ship to stealth mode, hiding from sensors. The children relaxed slightly, sensing safety. Saralia exhaled in relief. "You have done well, Elias. They are safe. For now." Elias nodded, but he did not lower his guard. "We cannot stay here forever. They will come looking. But this gives us time to learn more about the children, their abilities, and how to protect them." Over the next few days, Elias focused on training and understanding. He observed the children carefully, noting how they reacted to small threats, how they communicated silently with each other, and how their emotions influenced their surroundings. Lyrian seemed particularly sensitive to fear and danger. Velya was quick to solve problems and analyze situations. Anara had a subtle way of calming everyone around her. Elias realized that these children were more than just survivors. They were extraordinary, and their safety depended not just on his skill, but on the bond they had built, the trust they shared. One evening, as the sector's stars twinkled silently outside the ship, Saralia approached Elias. "They will grow stronger," she said softly, "but so will the dangers. You must prepare for the trials ahead." Elias looked at the children sleeping peacefully in the small quarters. "I will protect them. No matter what comes, I will not let anything happen to them. They are my family now." She nodded, tears in her glowing eyes. "Thank you, Elias. You are more than I hoped for." As the ship drifted quietly among the stars, Elias allowed himself a moment of hope. The journey ahead would be difficult, filled with dangers, uncertainty, and battles yet to come. But for the first time, he knew he was not alone. He had a purpose beyond duty. He had a family, and the children, extraordinary in every way, had found someone to trust completely. Outside, the enemy ships regrouped, planning their next move. But Elias's resolve was clear. He would meet whatever challenge came with courage, strategy, and heart. The bond he shared with the children was stronger than fear, stronger than any threat. This was only the beginning, and in the silence of the stars, a human and 3 alien children, and their mother, stood together, ready to face the unknown. Days passed in the quiet isolation of the uncharted sector. Captain Elias Reed, Saralia, and the children had grown accustomed to a new rhythm. Each day brought lessons, games, and laughter that echoed through the small ship. Yet, the shadow of danger remained. Elias knew that the enemy fleet had not given up, only waiting for the right moment to strike. Despite this, Elias focused on building a home, not just a shelter, but a family. He started each day with shared meals. Lyrian loved learning about human cuisine, often helping Elias prepare breakfast. Velia explored the ship's technology, her small hands moving with surprising precision as she studied panels, circuits, and holographic displays. Anara, quiet and gentle, spent her mornings in the small observation deck, floating among the stars and talking softly to them, as if the universe itself could hear her. Seralia watched from her corner, her expression a mixture of pride and apprehension. "They are learning fast," she said softly to Elias one morning. "But strength alone is not enough. They need trust, love, and patience. That is what will protect them in the end." Elias nodded. "I will give them that. I promise." Trust had grown steadily over the days. Lyrian had started to speak freely, asking questions about human life and the stars. Velia challenged Elias, curious and bright, wanting to know why humans did things a certain way. Anara, though quiet, now smiled, often, and reached out to Elias without fear. One afternoon, Elias decided it was time for them to learn about strategy and defense. He wanted the children to understand that danger existed, but that fear could be managed with knowledge and preparation. "Listen carefully," he said, pointing to a holographic display of the sector. "These are the paths ships take through this area. The enemy wants us to make a mistake, but we are smart. We can see patterns, predict their movements, and protect ourselves." Velia's eyes widened. "Can we try it, Captain?" Elias smiled. "Yes, let's do a simulation. You will help me plan defense. We will learn together." The children watched intently as Elias projected holographic enemy ships and station defenses. Lyrian's small fingers moved quickly, suggesting safe paths and predicting movements. Velia analyzed the strategy, offering improvements. Even Anara contributed, pointing out small details others had missed, her intuition guiding them in ways Elias found remarkable. By the end of the session, Elias was amazed. "You are incredible," he said. "Your minds, your hearts, they see things humans might miss. Together, we are strong." That evening, Seralia approached Elias. "You see what I mean," she said quietly. "Their abilities, they are extraordinary, but what is most important is that they trust you. That bond will protect them more than weapons ever could." Elias looked at the children as they laughed over a shared meal. "Yes," he said softly. "Trust, love, family. That is stronger than anything." Life was not without moments of quiet tension. The children still sensed the enemy's presence, even in the calm of the isolated sector. Lyrian would sometimes wake at night, eyes wide with fear. Velia would pace restlessly, and Anara would cling to Seralia. Elias would stay awake, holding them close, whispering reassurances. "Nothing will hurt you. I am here. Always." Through these moments, the bond between them grew. The children were no longer merely passengers under his care. They were part of his life, his heart, his family. Seralia's eyes often shimmered with unshed tears as she observed this transformation. She had worried that humans might not understand her children, that trust could be fragile. Yet here, in this small ship among the stars, the impossible had begun to happen. One day a warning signal blinked on the ship's console. Elias's heart sank. The enemy had discovered their hiding place. He quickly gathered the children. "We have to move," he said firmly. "We will not let them find us." Lyrian's hand found his. Velia stood ready and Anara clung to Seralia. Together they prepared for a daring maneuver. Elias guided the ship skillfully, weaving through asteroids and gravity fields. The children watched, their connection to danger helping him anticipate enemy movements. Lyrian noticed the enemy scanning patterns. Velia suggested evasive maneuvers, and Anara's calm presence helped Elias make quick decisions without panic. Hours passed as they evaded detection. Finally, Elias brought the ship to a hidden orbit behind a small, rocky planetoid. The enemy fleet, frustrated, could not follow without risking collision or detection. For the moment, they were safe. Seralia exhaled, relief washing over her. "You have done it," she said softly. "You protected them." Elias smiled wearily. "We protected each other," he said. That night, as the children slept, Elias sat with Seralia in the small observation area. The stars stretched endlessly before them, calm and quiet. "They are safe," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And you have changed. You were lonely, Elias. Now, you have family." He nodded slowly. "I never thought I could feel this way again. But now, I see what was missing. They have given me something I didn't know I needed. Love, connection, belonging." She smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. "And you have given them hope. They have lost so much. You have given them a future." The days turned into weeks. Elias taught the children human customs, technology, and the stars. They taught him about their world, their emotions, and their abilities. Each lesson, each game, each quiet moment of trust strengthened the bond between them. One afternoon, as they floated in the zero-gravity observation deck, Lyrian asked softly, "Captain, will you always protect us?" Elias's heart swelled. He held Lyrian's small hand firmly. "Always. No matter what comes, I will protect you. You are my family." Velia smiled, her eyes serious but bright. "And we will help. We are strong together." Anara, resting against her mother, added quietly, "I feel safe now. With you." Seralia looked at Elias, emotion filling her glowing eyes. "You have given them more than protection," she said softly. "You have given them a home, and a heart to trust." Elias felt warmth spread through him. For the first time, he understood what she meant. Family was not only about blood or species, it was about trust, care, and connection. In the vast emptiness of space, they had found each other. But even in this safety, Elias remained vigilant. He knew the enemy would not give up easily, yet he also knew something stronger than fear or weapons existed here: love, trust, and unity. The children's abilities, combined with human courage and strategy, made them formidable. One evening, as the ship floated silently among distant stars, Elias reflected on their journey. The children had survived loss, fear, and danger. Seralia had survived grief and despair. And he had survived loneliness. Together, they had formed a bond that no threat could break. He looked at the sleeping children and the serene figure of Seralia. A sense of purpose filled him. This was more than duty, this was family. And family was worth fighting for, worth protecting, worth loving with every part of his being. As the stars glimmered outside, Elias made a silent promise. No matter what trials came, no matter what dangers approached, he would face them all. For the sake of this fragile, extraordinary family. And in the quiet of the ship, laughter, learning, and love blossomed. A human and 3 alien children and their mother had found something precious in the vast void of space: belonging, trust, and the unbreakable bond of family. The stars continued to shine, endless and patient, as if witnessing the beginning of something beautiful and enduring. The quiet of space was deceptive. Captain Elias Reed and his small family of extraordinary children and Seralia had enjoyed weeks of peace in the hidden sector. Yet Elias knew better than to trust in stillness for too long. The enemy fleet that had hunted Seralia's family before would not give up. And soon, their return would bring the ultimate test of courage, strategy, and trust. Elias had spent the days preparing. The children trained with him, learning how to recognize danger, work as a team, and use their unique abilities to support each other. Lyrian's sensitivity to emotions allowed him to sense approaching threats before sensors detected them. Velia's intelligence and quick thinking helped Elias design defense maneuvers. Anara, gentle and intuitive, could calm fear and inspire confidence in everyone around her. Seralia watched the preparations silently, her glowing eyes filled with pride and worry. She knew that their safety rested not just on Elias's skill, but on the bond they had built, the bond of family. "Remember," she said one evening, "strength alone is not enough. Your hearts, your trust in each other, that will see you through. They cannot break that." Elias nodded. "I know, and we will not let them." The warning finally came at night. Sensors picked up movement on the edge of the sector. Alien ships approaching, sleek and menacing, their engines silent until they were almost upon the ship. Elias's heart tightened. The moment of confrontation had arrived. "Children, stay close," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Trust me, and we will face this together." Lyrian's small hand found his. Velia stood alert, and Anara clung to her mother. They had learned fear, but they had also learned courage. The battle began almost immediately. The enemy ships struck swiftly, testing the ship's defenses. Elias moved with precision, piloting through asteroids and debris to avoid direct hits. But he knew evasion alone would not be enough. "Children," Elias said, "now is the time to help. Work with me." Lyrian focused, sensing the emotions of the enemy pilots. "They are afraid," he whispered, "but they are also determined." Velia's voice rang out. "We can anticipate their moves. I can calculate patterns." Anara, her small hands hovering over the ship's controls, added, "We can calm each other. Stay focused." Elias felt awe and gratitude. The children were not helpless. They were extraordinary. Together, their abilities, courage, and trust gave him an advantage even against the superior fleet. The enemy attempted to surround them, but Elias guided the ship through narrow passages and asteroid fields, using the children's insights to predict attacks and avoid danger. For every strike, they countered with clever maneuvers, keeping the ship safe. Hours passed in tense vigilance. The children, though small, worked tirelessly. Lyrian's sensitivity warned them of hidden threats. Velia's quick calculations allowed evasive maneuvers that even Elias would not have imagined. Anara's calm presence held them steady through fear and uncertainty. Finally, Elias saw an opening. The enemy fleet was divided, one part distracted by pursuing a decoy ship he had launched. Using the children's abilities, he directed the IZI ship into a narrow canyon of asteroids where the enemy could not follow without serious risk. Seralia's voice came over the communicator. "Elias, you are clever, but do not underestimate them. They may retreat, but they will return." Elias nodded. "We will be ready." By dawn, the enemy fleet had withdrawn, frustrated and unable to capture the children. For the first time, in weeks, the ship settled into quiet space. The children, exhausted, rested in their small bunks. Elias watched them, heart full. They had survived. Together, Seralia approached, her eyes glistening. "You did it," she said softly. "You kept them safe. I cannot thank you enough." Elias shook his head. "No, it was not just me. It was all of us. You taught them, guided them, loved them. They are extraordinary, and they have taught me too." The children stirred at the sound of voices. Lyrian sat up, eyes bright. "Captain, did we win?" "Yes," Elias said with a smile. "We won because we were together, because we trusted each other, because we are a family." Velia's serious face broke into a small smile. "I like this family," she said. Anara nodded silently, reaching for Elias's hand. He held it gently, feeling the warmth and trust in her small grip. Seralia stepped closer. "And now," she said, "there is a new path ahead. My mission, my work, it is not finished, but I can leave my children here with you where they are safe. And in return, you have given me peace." Elias felt a lump in his throat. I will protect them. Always." She smiled, a soft, radiant glow in her eyes. "I know. And I leave with a heart lighter than it has been in years. You have given my children hope. And you You have found something precious yourself. A family. Days turned into weeks. Elias officially completed the paperwork to adopt the children. The station authorities, impressed by his courage and the extraordinary abilities of the children, supported him. His home became a place of learning, laughter, and safety. The children thrived under his guidance, their abilities used for creativity, exploration, and problem-solving rather than fear or harm. Elias himself changed. The loneliness that had defined his life for years melted away. He found joy in teaching the children, pride in their achievements, and love in their presence. He had thought he would always walk among the stars alone, but now he knew what it meant to belong. One evening, as the family gathered in the observation deck, the stars stretched endlessly before them. Lyrian pointed to a distant cluster. "One day I want to visit that place," he said. Velia added, "And I want to learn everything about the stars, about humans, about life." Anara leaned against Elias, her small voice soft. "I just want to be with you." Elias held their hands. "Then we will. We will explore, learn, and grow together." Saralia, watching them, smiled through tears. "They are safe, happy, loved. That is all I could have wished for." The enemy fleet never returned. Perhaps they had learned that this small human and his extraordinary children were not easily defeated. Perhaps they had underestimated the strength of love, trust, and unity. Elias knew that challenges would always exist in the vast universe. But he also knew that the greatest strength was not weapons, not strategy, not speed. It was connection. It was family. It was the courage to protect those you love. Months later, the children had grown more confident. Lyrian used his sensitivity to help others in the station, detecting emotional distress and offering comfort. Velia assisted in engineering and exploration projects, her mind quick and brilliant. Anara's gentle presence brought calm and joy to all she met. And Elias. He had found purpose, belonging, and love. The emptiness he had carried for years was gone, replaced by laughter, learning, and trust. One quiet night, as the family floated in the observation deck among the stars, Elias reflected on their journey. From the moment Saralia had arrived with her heartbreaking plea, their lives had changed. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and uncertain, yet within their small family, there was safety, courage, and hope. Saralia, standing nearby, looked at Elias. "You have done more than I could have imagined. You have given them a life, and in return, you have found yourself." Elias smiled, his heart full. "We have all found each other. That is enough." The stars outside shimmered like a promise. In the heart of the vast universe, a human and 3 extraordinary children and their mother had found something rare and beautiful: love, trust, and family. Together, they were ready to face whatever the future held. And in that quiet, infinite space, hope shone brighter than any star.